So just got back from getting some protein in Syracuse, and it reminded me of the conversation I had the other day, and I had plenty of people asking questions afterwards about what did I mean by strength, and what do I mean by building up a growth plan around it. Well, if you're not taking in enough protein, if you don't have the macro and micronutrients, and you're going to train, then you also can't expect that your body's going to recover and then be able to perform optimally. So if you think about building your strength and human performance the same way, you'll understand you need to set up a support system around that. And that means your recovery, like whether it's massage and your nutrition and your sleep, and then also your training. And it's really important to understand what we're talking about. So if we're just to keep it simple, if we're talking about a pitcher in baseball, then we know, okay, we need to strengthen the arm through that motion, and or you can think about the muscles or the angles or the arm slot, whatever it is that you're thinking about. We know we need to strengthen and speed up the rate of motion going through a specific range of motion. So with that being said, that also means we also have to take care of our body to make sure that we can sustainably do that over and over again. So that might mean that we need to make sure that the muscles that oppose it can withstand, that they have enough flexibility, that they also have enough strength to be able to do that over and over again. And then in our training, in the off season, you're going to build up that strength on both sides to be able to perform better and quicker, but at the same time to be able to maintain that without injury, and to be able to recover at the rate you need to recover, depending on whatever the rotation is for baseball. But whatever the sport is, knowing what your strength is key. And most people don't take that into account when they're putting together a performance plan. Now, and most of them don't take it into account on a number of different levels. They don't take it into account when they're training in the training room, but then they also don't take it into account, like, okay, my levator scapula might be getting jacked up, and that's going to affect pitching. My upper trap's going to be, having some issues. Maybe it's my scalenes. Maybe I've got like pec minor starting to get impinged a little bit. There's so many different, and then that's just upper body, and that you can go all the way down the line. It could be obliques, it can be psoas, it might be something in your foot. You might have something going on where you're losing the ability to drive off your ankle. So there's so many different things to think about. And some people just decide, oh, well, we're just going to play. Like, just play. There's no sense in overthinking it. Well, that's all well and good, but just because you're not thinking about it doesn't mean that it's not going to affect you. And so if you're trying to get to the point where you're at your peak, you're going to have an awfully hard time doing that if you're not addressing any of these issues. So the massage, the other complementary and allopathic or homeopathic, or the other things that you can do to help facilitate faster recovery and things like that. And are you monitoring that stuff? Are you training the right energy system? Can you recover within the game? Can you recover in between games? Are you training at the same time that you're going to be playing? Do you play at a specific time? And are you ready to be able to perform at your peak for that time and for the duration? There's so many things to think about. And yeah, I see these training plans all over, and I'm not throwing rocks at other people, but if you're going to train and you're going to try and be at your best, then shouldn't you give yourself the best opportunity by stopping, looking at all these different things, and then really analyzing things on a level of, okay, well, how have you been in the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter? I say the same things over and over again. People just aren't paying attention to them on the level that they need to. And these training programs that get sent, whether it's high school, travel teams, colleges, if the trainer that's sending it to you doesn't know what you do the best, and they haven't spoken with your position coach or your head coach or a coordinator, and that's not coordinated with your nutrition plan, and they haven't talked, the strength coach hasn't talked with your physical therapist or your athletic trainer or whoever it is that you're working with, and it's not on board with whatever your chiropractor is doing, then you really haven't integrated your program very well. And a disintegrated program, obviously, just saying the word disintegrated, immediately you get a feeling that makes no sense. The thinking about disintegration obviously is not the way to perform. So make sure that you're building yourself up appropriately. Make sure that you understand what systems you're working energy wise. Make sure that you are paying attention to ranges of motion. And again, I'm not saying to add weight to something and that's the training module. I'm not saying like, okay, well, let's take an athletic movement, just add weight to it, or resistance or assistance to it. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying though is if there's angles in motion that you have that you're going to be doing in sports, if you aren't training them to maximize them, then you're kind of missing the entire point of training. Training isn't about going in and just putting in work. I mean, that's it at some level, like on a very basic level. But then getting your mind into it, mentally rehearsing what you're going to do in the weight room and then what you're going to do, or strength and conditioning room, whatever you want to call it, what you're going to do then in the game situation, what you're going to do in your other training that you're going to do. Maybe you have one-on-one training that you have that's technical stuff. Sitting down, going over your tactics and things like that, and rehearsing that, and then getting back into, oh, okay, I did this exercise because it helps with this, and then I did it in this sequence because this sequence is the same sequence that I do on the field or the court or the mat or the beach or wherever it is that you're playing. Understanding the time and place or the context or the syntax of something, that all these things matter. And if you're going to try and perform at a high level, your highest level, you have to be aware of these things. You have to address these things, and you can't just put your head in the sand and pretend that you don't know any better and that you think you can take a month off, 2 months off, 3 months off. You need to improve consistently with all areas. And the mental side's got to really come up. I saw Brian Kane mention something the other day. Anytime his name comes up with one of our athletes, I immediately think, great, at least they're out there, they're doing the head work. They're going through getting better processes, understanding where they're at mentally, making sure they put themselves in the best state of mind, and then that state of mind creates a better physical state too. And the play back and forth between the two, the internal communication that goes on, just again, if you're not aware of it, it doesn't mean that it doesn't affect you. It's still going on anyway. So sit down, get right with what's going on, understand what you're doing to build your strength, to solidify that, to create a support system that allows you to sustain and grow that growth plan. And then again, like I said, like I just went and picked up protein. You have to support the system and allow it to grow. You have to create an environment that's going to allow it to grow. And you have to make sure that you're tracking that. You have to make sure that you're getting clear on your goals, and you make sure that you check in with where you are, if you're hitting your goals or if you're missing them, and what those tangibles are that you're improving on, and then improve on the mental side of things too. Again, like jump on Brian's channel, Brian Kane. He's on all social media. There's a bunch of other phenomenal people out there too. He's one that's been doing it since the get-go, and you can see kind of where he started. But it's a lot of simple stuff, and it also connects with the all the other physical performance stuff we're talking about. That old mindset of I can just do it physically and it's gonna I'm going to be the best. That's not going to happen. You cannot just address the physical and think it's going to impact everything. So get right with that, and have a great day.